Welcome back, everyone. So let's take a look at the progress so far. Now, I haven't really done anything since my last filming. Not really. The one thing I did do is I cleaned out... check this out. Perfect fit. I took this stainless steel wire brush and I went down into each port, exhaust and intake, and check out what I got done here. So it doesn't look like much, but I assure you, oh, it is hugely improved. There is no more sludge buildup here. Actually, the wet stuff you see is actually nothing more than... I took some of this CRC intake valve cleaner. This is strong stuff for GDI engines. And I thought after cleaning, I sprayed it in there to get any leftover bullshit out of there. I also took me a razor blade and I scraped. Now, this looks awful. This engine's been... Remember when I said these engines were designed to be serviced by farmers? Well, it looks like this one was serviced by a butcher. You know, a lot of things don't really add up so nicely. Look at these scratches on the deck surface. Look at that. I mean, that's not going to be a problem in the grand scheme of things. A new gasket will take care of that. And I might even throw some gasket shellac, that Indian head shit that everybody's great-grandpa used to use back in the day. And I might put some of that on there just to maybe seal it up a little nicer. I don't know if it works on head gaskets, though, because we're going to find out. In other news, the cylinder head came out of the blood bath. I mean, the evaporust bath. And we've got the hardware, the mounting hardware for our... Oh, I forgot about the buildup of shit. Well, that'll come off. So next week, I decided I'm going to take a week off of work for once. It's been a while since I've done that. Since pre-COVID times, actually, I haven't really had a lot of time off. I just haven't been able to use my vacation because there's just so much to do. So I have to take a little bit of time away from the grind. Next week, I might do some more work to this engine. I'm gonna probably do the block cleaning. I want to get that done. But some parts came in the mail today, so today's video is going to be a little more action-packed. So let's get on with it. I know we've had some tough times together. I know that it hasn't been the smoothest engine build. I almost cracked your block on at least 3 occasions. At one point, I almost turned you into a giant fireball, but I'm still a decent guy. Briggs, will you murder me? Oh, I'm so happy. Oh my God, look at... Wow, alright, let's see if she fits. Ah, you sucked anyway. So the mail came today. And what do we got? 290820 standard ring set. Original. Briggs and Stratton. And they even sent me a thank you card. Since they were so kind as to send me a thank you card, this is where I bought it from. It looks like these guys are really not engine parts dealers, but they're probably auction, estate auction scavengers. And somebody had the foresight not only to save these, but to sell them. Now, I got this little slip of paper. These rings are a little different from what came off the engine. So we've got our oil ring. And we'll do a comparison here to see if it's like the same diameter and shit. Yep, it should be the same. It's a little different. It has grooves where the originals did not. It's, you know what it is? I think it's a lower. There's a little bit less surface area on these rings, so I think what they're actually designed for lower friction. It might be a more modern replacement. So I've got the 2 compression rings, and one of them has a groove on the outer edge, and the other one has a groove on the inner edge. I don't know why that is. I'm not an engineer, so I'm not going to question what the gods have decided. Now, according to the instructions, which are fortunately included, revision 57, printed in the United States, the top ring has a chamfer or step at the inside edge. Install with the chamfer or step upwards, and that was on the inside edge. The center ring has a step at the outside edge, and the oil ring can be installed in either position if an expander is furnished. Install under oil ring. I don't have an expander. That's all that was in the box. So you notice that other ring snapped in half very easily. That is because it has been heat cycled and very likely overheated at some point. I'm going to hope that doesn't happen to these new ones. It is true that used rings they do get brittle over time. So you want to just expand it just enough to get it over the piston. You don't want to go any farther than that. These are cast iron, guys. I think. I think the original ones were cast iron. And then once you get your ring in, you just get the tool out of there. It doesn't want to relinquish my ring. There we go. Okay, here. There we got the new ring in there. Now this ring has got some moxie. It wants to, bling out. So when we go to install the piston in the bore, I don't have a ring compressor. I used to, but I don't know where the hell it went. So I'm not going to bother with that. I think I can get these in without a ring compressor. Now, okay. The center ring has a step at the outside edge. Install with a step down. So we've got to get the other ring here. This is the inner ring. Step goes down. Again, I am not an engineer. So I don't know why these rings were redesigned. They're the same part number, but they were apparently changed over the years. So the step down. Here we go. Because, yeah, these rings are brand new. Wow, they're old. These rings are probably about 50, 60 years old or so. Judging from the box, I'm going to say they're about that old. Okay. Step on the inside. The top ring has a chamfer at the inside edge. Install with the step upward. Okay. So we're going to just do what it says. All right. And again, just enough. Just enough. We don't want to snap our new rings. I don't believe these rings are still in production. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. Okay. So when these rings are fully compressed, they're going to fit nicely and snugly in that bore. We're going to align our ring gaps. We're not gonna. I was gonna measure the ring gap. I decided not to. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna change anything. I'm not gonna do anything differently. I don't think the ring gap is gonna be a problem. I'm just looking at. Yeah. Now the way to do that is you take the ring, okay, and you pop it into the bore, and then you take your piston and then you just kind of knock it in straight, so that the ring is perfectly straight and level in the bore. And then you take your feeler gauges and you measure the distance between the two ends of the ring. That's your ring gap. And the ring gap specification has to be followed on any engine build. But these are factory rings. I'm pretty sure they're made in such a standardized way that I don't have to worry about it so much. I'm going to take some WD-40 and I'm going to spray the piston down. I don't want those rings to rust, because they will if I let them. We're just going to put this back in its little bag and set it aside. But I don't want it getting damaged. I don't want anything to happen to it, so I'm going to put it maybe up on a shelf or something. As long as I don't forget that's where I put it, all should be fine. So if I start the camera the next time and I'm like, where's my piston? You guys know where it is, so you tell me where I put it. Okay, what do I have for you next? It's going to be a short video. So we cleaned the valve area. I'm not going to do any valve lapping and grinding yet. I'm not ready to do that. That'll be after we get the piston in. Actually, it'll be out. Well, we have to clean the block first. So I'm going to haul this thing outside on my day off at work, and we're going to pressure wash the shit out of it. So, okay, so we're going to go ahead and clean up this block as best we can. I'm going to use this Gunk engine degreaser. This stuff works pretty well. And we're just trying to get all of the oil residue off the engine. There's no puddles of oil or anything. It's just a little bit of residue. And I want to clean all that off best I can. Now the challenge is going to be doing this without the engine flash rusting on us. This is going to be interesting. It's got to be done though. This engine's a mess. And I want to paint it, so afterward. So what I'm going to probably do is put like I'm going to find some cheap engine paint that I have and give it a coating. You want to get out, I sopped up all the oil that was in here, and we just need the sludge and grime out of it. Again, doing this engine is a disaster, so. Oh wow. I'm finding some more green paint here. It was just so caked up with grime, I couldn't really see it. So I'm going to probably take the pressure washer to this, but I just want to see what low pressure will do for me for now. Yeah, I think pressure would Okay. So. Let's get this show on the road. Not bad. So, in full disclosure, I have never honed a cylinder before. Actually, I take that back. I think I did it once. And this was when I was working in the shed with my dad. And we're fixing up the old snowblower. And it's been a while. This would have been about 25 years ago. And I didn't do it, he did it. So, okay, so here's what we got. Now, I'm using liquid wrench penetrating oil or lubricating oil. I can't get a straight answer as to what the right answer is, but this is what we're starting out with. There is a lot of glazing. It's all glazed. There's no cross hatching really visible at all. Oh wait, right there. There's a lot of pitting. I'm not going to get this bore smooth. I did not check the bore for roundness. I did not do any measurements at all, and I'm not planning on it because it's not going to change what I'm going to do here. I can no longer find an oversized piston for this motor, so I'm not even going to bother. This is more of a display motor than anything else. So, I mean, it's going to run, but it's not going to power anything. But I do want to get that bore cross-hatched again. So we're going to start with a de-glazing, and this is not a hone. This is not a rigid hone. This is merely a and it looks like I've already got a cracked stone. Nice. Okay, so let's go ahead and start it up. Now you don't want to... How far down do we need to go with this thing? Right about to where this collar stops. We're going to start off slowly. See what our stones look like now. Yeah, they're starting to shape to the wall, as they're going to do. And I'm supposed to clean these off every so many passes. So, initially, it's starting to get the rust off, but it's not going to do shit for the pitting. So, you know, there's that. Oh my. Oh my. Oh my God, look at this. We're gonna clean our stones again, but look at this. Look at that. Let me clean this out. Oh, never mind. It was covering. It looks like a brand new bore. I'm like, there's no way it was that effective. Yeah, there's still a lot of. This is pitting, and we're not going to get that out. Yeah, we're not going to get the scratches out. You know, it's just not going to happen. But we do have cross hatching now. I'm going to keep going with it though. So I just clean the stones off. Actually starting to look pretty good.
Can I tell you the story?
Yeah. And the finished product, again, there's a ridge of pits along where that ring was. And I'm not too worried about it. But you can see I got some nice cross hatching going on. And the way you do that is you increase, as you do your deglazing, that's the first step. And then you start to form your cross hatch by increasing the plunge rate. And the bore looks pretty good. I mean, given all things considered, I mean, you know, I'm not expecting anything majorly awesome out of this engine, but this is an engine that was left to die, and it's only a miracle that I'm here now fixing it right now. So, given all this, we're almost ready to start reassembling. I just realized that. All I gotta do now is I gotta get the valves in there and start grinding and lapping. But in this video, we're not going to do that. So I think reassembly is on the horizon. I mean, it looks good. Got all the sludge and shit, all the buildup off of it, and I just hope it doesn't flash rust. See, the weather's starting to get a little cold. So the water's not gonna evaporate off of this thing like I want it to. Now, once we get the engine reassembled, we will do a final degrease of the assembled engine. So we clean everything up once it's put together, and then I'm gonna degrease it, and then I'm going to paint it. So that'll be the last thing. I really do want to replace this bearing, but I don't want to mess with it. If I don't have to. We're just going to have to see how it goes. And again, if it has any problems, I mean, pulling this engine down isn't really a big deal to do that after the fact. Unless I can find a machine shop to do the job. Apparently it has to be reamed in place. So once you get it in, you then ream it. I think there's a split on this bearing. No, there's no split on it. So it's a one piece. But yeah, I don't know what the hell happened to it. We're just gonna let it go. We're just gonna let it fly. And so the main reason for deglazing the cylinder bore, the big reason for this is when you replace the rings, you need to give the rings something to wear against so that they wear together. Also, the cross hatches, once they're gone, the cylinder walls aren't going to retain that film of oil anymore. And so honing it and deglazing it, you can also, without honing it with a rigid hone, you can get those cross hatches back. So that provides adequate lubrication for the entire cylinder bore. Okay, I gotta start cleaning up. I got things I gotta do today, so till the next time. So I figured out what happened to this bearing. At some point somebody damaged the end of this crankshaft shoulder. It wasn't completely mushroomed or anything, but there was some raised metal around this edge. And I thought back to when I removed the crankshaft, and I'm thinking, did I do that? You know, Urkel style. And no, there's nothing I did that could have done that. So when I was trying to drive the crankshaft out, first of all, it should just slide out like this without any effort. What I was actually trying to do is I was trying to drive the crankshaft through this pulley, get the pulley off. And I thought, well, maybe that process, no, that's not what happened. So it was damaged beforehand, and I don't know how. So as it was being driven through, I didn't realize that there was any resistance on the bearing side, because I thought all the resistance was from the pulley as I'm driving the crankshaft out. Long story short, I took the crankshaft to my bench grinder and I ground a slight chamfer around the shoulder, which should solve the problem. So now the crankshaft slides in and out without any, resistance. So I think the bearing is going to be fine. It's just, we're not going to be putting this thing into service, so it's not going to be driving a lawnmower or anything crazy. So I'm not going to be worried. I'm not going to worry myself sick over it. But I do believe this engine could be put back into. I mean, I really believe that this thing could go back in to daily operation, and it would do just fine. That's what I believe. But nevertheless, once we get this engine reassembled, which we're pretty close to, we'll degrease the whole thing, thoroughly degrease it, and we'll give it a coat of hunter green. I'm going to try to find a paint color that's close to this green here. I'm finding more and more spots of it where the oil is caked up. There's still one more spot of oil here, and I'll get that later. What's interesting is all the artifacts from the casting process. Like those two screws right there with the plate, that's not real. That's actually, that was part of the mold to identify the mold number or whatever, and it just made it into the casting, which is kind of funny. So I'm pretty optimistic. Again, the cylinder bore, it's not perfect. It isn't perfect, and it's not gonna be. The only thing I can do to fix this permanently, or to make it better, is to bore it out and get a 20 over piston. That's not happening. I'm not spending that kind of money. If I find one, I can't even find one for this engine, so we're gonna just leave it the way it is. We're gonna put this in with new rings. I think it'll do just fine. It's gonna run, for sure. Might burn a little oil. It might be a little low in compression. We're gonna find out. I'm gonna do a compression test on it and see where it lands. Once I get the thing running, and it's got to run for a while before it'll seat. The right way to seat the rings once it's up and running is to put a load on it, and you want to change the engine speed up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down for a good long while to get those rings seated, but we won't be able to do that. So it's really just a showpiece. Once it's done, it's just going to be for show. It's going to be a running engine, and that's all I ask out of it. If I get anything more than that, I'll be happier. So I do have the replacement gasket here. This just came in the mail the other day. This is an original Briggs gasket, but this is a much later production. I don't believe this is made from asbestos, although it very well could be. It's hard to tell. The only reason we know the original one was asbestos is because the gasket had peeled apart and you could see the fibers within. This may be asbestos, but it could also be something else. But that's the new gasket for it. And I have to order the flywheel plate gasket. or the magneto plate gasket, and the head gasket. Those are two gaskets I need. I don't have those yet. So, moving along, we'll get there.